Greetings, dear precious, magnificent, creative spirit soul that you are. Always remember that. It's not your mind, not who you think you are. You're not who you think you are. No. Thinking can't tell you who you are. It's knowing, it's being. Yes. My topic is the creative power of your imagination, image. See, imagination is imageation. And it's interesting. You look up Tion is very similar to Zion, Sion, whatever. See, because the language is a spell casting device, basically. Because you get a sense of whenever this, I call it the mind virus, took over certain individuals, people, to have a perverted shadow reflection of life, of how things are. It basically, if you create a system where people police themselves, then you really don't have to do any work. That people will generate their own suffering, their own pain, their own problems, their own self-murder, basically. And you set it up that way so that also everybody in the family does that, and then everybody in the community does that, and in the religious group does that, and in the country that does that, and then blah, 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 blah. So everybody's self-policing themselves plus policing everybody else to make sure that everybody is in line with the predominant program. And imagination is a very powerful, powerful creative tool. And when we actually tune in to divine imagination, the divine is revealed to us. And the images of that and the awareness of the divine and the spiritual, the true, the authentic, that has been copied. Because you see, we have a divine mind, spirit, because you can call it mind, because that's segmenting ourselves. We don't need to have these different compartments. We're not a bureaucrat with little bureau drawers, each one having a specific thing. There is when you're wanting to break it all apart, which is fine. But if you come to wholeness, you have all, you see, what may I say? You are integrated in yourself. So you have divine mind. And that divine mind, the creative power that we have, and through our imagination of imaging, of realizing the true and the beautiful and the divine and the authentic, when the mind is hacked, you would say, created a false mind. It's called a false ego. A lot of people call it the ego. Ego would be identity. You have to have an identity, but it doesn't mean, it's not in words, but where I'm calling you spirit soul. But that's just a label. And in the Vedas, they call them jivas or child of God, or however you want that word. But we are part of the source of the absolute divine creator. And we have all those qualities and powers. Okay, so imagination. And what happens when you watch images, you see pictures, you watch moving pictures, then these images are going into the mind. And the mind is, that false mind has a subconscious and an unconscious to it. And all that stuff gets stored there. And we tend to identify then with the different people or the thing going on, and then generate emotions. And although it's an animation, it's basically pixels on a screen of some kind, and yet we react to them as if it's really happening and it's authentic. That's why I'm not I don't care about animation, because more of that, even having talking dolls or all these kind of things, it puts people into the consciousness that a machine is a person. that a constructed computer kind of a thing is actually a person, because then you make a law that it is and says it is, because then you can now see the stupidity of what you call laws and rules that really are based on whoever is making the law or rule, what they want people to believe and accept, because we're creator beings. That's why everything is aimed at your opinions. Everything's aimed at what you think. Everything's aimed at what you believe. Everything's aimed at what's politically correct or incorrect or this or that, to make sure everybody's lining up. But who is doing that when you have to find that the media is there's only a few individuals control all of it and all of this? There's always an intention behind it, you see, for everything that people are doing. And everybody's conspiring with everybody else. You're conspiring probably with your husband or your wife for something you want to do. You're conspiring with the kids. You're conspiring. What does that mean? You're finding people to agree with you on a particular project. But a lot of what people are conspiring to do is always at the cost or the life or the power or everything of others. They live off of others. That's called a parasite. And that's what the false mind makes people parasites and psychopaths, because it's a perverted shadow reflection that produces what we would call evil in that sense. And it then creates an opposites of good and evil, when or like and dislike, good and bad in this reality. But then our judgments of that are based on what we have learned, what we've been taught, what we've been programmed to believe, what we've accepted, what we have seen, what we have imaged. And what happens is that system produces so much data and information and categories, and it's like all in little compartments, and yet it's like a huge map, like a computer system, but we don't do it that way. So don't ever think that you are less than AI or information technology. No. You're the thinker. You're greater. You're the producer. You're the creator, the manifester. You got to know this, and as you know that, you take a look at the power of your imagination. Image where you want. Don't ever image what you don't want. Don't ever emotionalize what you don't want. Don't get into that thing, this is going to happen and it's going this way and this is inevitable and get ready and now it's happening. And you see, it's always keeping people in the orange, scared. And then programming until enough people agree, and then bam, there it is. Why? You see, because agreement creates reality. Never agree, never consent with what you don't choose to have. Doesn't mean you're not aware of what's going on, because that's the manifestation. You could perceive what it is that people are believing and thinking and agreeing with and making their choices about, what they spend their money on and their energy, because it gets produced. And you have to take back your powers and take back yourself, take back your imagination, and then visualize and get an experience of that which you desire to manifest, you see, and the experience of that. And that then also is your creativity. And what happens is that the images is called tell-a-vision. Because it's not your vision, but someone's telling you another vision. A vision is what you see. And I know I've been saying that word, see, I have to say that because I'm a visual. That's the tendency. Like if you're an audio person more, you always say, well, I'm hearing this, and, I'm more of a visual person. That means when I can perceive it, then I can usually do it. I can back engineer it or know how to do it. Okay. So anyway, the creative power of your imagination, and you'll start to watch. If you're observing the news or you're observing what's written or so-called authorities are saying or so-called leaders are saying, they all say the same thing repetitively, to have discussions about it all the time. That's to keep it in your mind. So after a while you think it's true and real. And now it does become true and real because you think it's true and real, so you agree with it, you emotionalize it, you image it. And I told you that time I was on Hollywood Boulevard in L.A., and there was a sign that says, get involved in crime. And I said, I'm not. It was about an ad for the police department. That means, protect yourself. No, get involved. Why? I'm not, and I don't choose to. And you, what you want to do is say, "Tain't so," all the time. Well, that tain't so. I'm not agreeing to that. I don't consent to that. And go and start looking at all the things you've consented to. And people say, "This is mandatory." Well, throw it away, for God's sake. It's like, what do you mean? And what happens is, but every time we want someone to protect us, every time we want something from the government, sometimes you want something from that person, or you want something from this person in a set, from that business or from that new deal. They give you an offer. When you choose, now you're at sacrifice. Now you owe. See, now you owe. Okay. And that debt can never be paid because it's not a debt that can be paid, because it's fallacious. What's my word? It's a lie. It's not based. It's trying to making something from nothing. So it's a Ponzi scheme. It's a racket. You see, all of that stuff. So to take back your power, you see, you take back your imagination. You take back what you hear. You take back your heart. You take back your soul, you see. And as you do that, you are more energized. Every time you dump this thing you're carrying and all the weight and the fear and this, what am I going to do? How am I going to survive? What's going to happen to me? And then you watch all these terrifying, ugly movies about terrible pain, filth, disaster, abuse of children and babies and people, and watching these this is sickness, disease. This is the mark of the evil implant or virus of the mind that has captured most of humanity. And then they protect it, they promote it, they police it, they keep, everybody does this. You must step out from the crowd. You must step out from the flow that you don't want to be part of. And take that stand within yourself, you see. And that means when people say, "Oh, imagine that," don't do it. Wonder if that happens to you. Don't do that. You don't have to experience what everybody experiences and feels to be able to help people and know what they're going through. Come on. It's basic suffering or pain, pleasure. This is a pain, pleasure racket. Bam, 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 bam. The mind going like it, dislike, like it, judge, don't judge, like me, don't like you, bit, can't sleep. That's the mind. Da, 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 da. Well, have you been meditating? Do you know how to stop the mind? Can you control the mind? And can you operate from divine mind? You see? This is big, but it's not difficult, you see. Breathe right now into your heart. Breathe right now into your heart. Breathe right now into your heart. Get out of your story. Big pop, poop. See, it's your story. Image the story. Image the world. Image the reality that you desire. And it must ultimately be good for all without causing distress to any other living entity. Take a look at every product you buy. Take a look at how the food you're eating. Take a look at where is that? Is there murder and slaughter behind that? There's one thing, if everybody did, absolutely be the end of evil in every way. It would absolutely restore the ultimate, the absolute, magnificent, spiritual, divine world that is the real and the natural, eternal. Stop eating animals or humans. Stop killing animals and humans and eating animals, humans. Stop it.